And his queen does not do this. So Queen Vashti said no. And we can get into this whole political thing of what just happened there, because a lot just happened there. And it's, I make it sound like she just said no. And that's it. But a lot more has happened, And he's like, oh yeah, that's what I want to happen to me. That's what everybody should do. That's the kind of honor that I want. And the king says, great idea. I tell you what, go ahead and go do all of that stuff for this guy at the gate. His name is Mordecai. So he's like, wait, what? So, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Convert Me podcast. Thank you for joining me once again. I hope that you're going to enjoy today's show. It is a really good book. It is a Bible study coming from the Book of Esther. And the Book of Esther is a great book. It's quickly becoming one of my favorites, and I know I say that every time, but it is. It's like every single book I read becomes my favorite. But this book particularly, this book is interesting, and I think it goes really well with our podcast, the Convert Me podcast, for new converts into the church, new baptized members, or people considering getting baptized. This is a great book for that. It's interesting because in the Book of Esther, the name God or God is not mentioned once. It is a book that has nothing to do with God, but at the same time has everything to do with God, because you can see his hand and all of his works at work during every single event in this book. And we'll go over some. So, a quick little story. The other day, I met up with a friend, and I recently met this friend who is trying to put together a motorcycle ministry, sort of like a Bible group for motorcycle riders. And I thought that was super cool. And we met up, we had lunch, we had a great talk, and I told him about this book, the Book of Esther. And he's like, wow, you know what? I was just thinking about where to start in my Bible reading adventure. And normally I would say from the beginning, Genesis, but I didn't say anything because I completely agreed. What a great place to start if you have not started already in the Book of Esther. It is, I told him the story, and it was at that moment that I felt a little bit like I understood the Bible, because you got to understand, I am new to this too. I've only been baptized about 2 years ago. So, my Bible journey had only just begun recently, and I'm going through this with all of you guys. And so it's great that you guys joined me on this podcast. And it was just amazing to think that is actually the Book of Esther that shows converts exactly who God is, what God does, and how he works in our lives, even when we don't see him, or he's not talked about, or he has nothing to do with our lives. It's I actually explained to him the story was humorous. I try to appeal to people. And it is. There are times of great ironic humor in this book. And I can't wait to get into it. Okay, so let's do a character setting here. We've got some key people in this story. First, we have Esther, who is a young Jewish woman. And now we have her cousin or guardian, I guess, Mordecai. Honestly, I think there's more between that, but I'm not going to get into all that. hearsay, rumors, and my own theories. But anyway, so we got Esther, Mordecai, and we have King Ahasuerus, who is actually King Xerxes, the king of Persia. And what's super interesting about it, you're like, hey, why does that name sound so familiar? Why does that ring a bell? Well, that's because you've probably seen the movie 300 with Leonidas and the 300 Spartans. That is the same King Xerxes. And I bring that up not only because it's a cool fact, but because if you watch the movie or if you remember the movie, he was a very fancy king, very godlike, he thought he was God, and you can tell that his whole army was just very fancy, a lot of riches, a lot of nice things, and a lot of people, you remember. And it was so interesting to see the connection of his love for wealth and what it meant to his people and him and Persia. It meant a lot to have nice, beautiful things, as we will see. And that's only one part that I can pick apart during the movie that I can relate to things that I learned while studying the Book of Esther. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's why they depicted King Xerxes the way that they did. It's so cool. The words he spoke, the way he dressed, the way his army comes into the picture. Anyway, so yeah, he's a character. He's a main character. And next we have Haman, who is one of King Xerxes' top powerful officials. And he's actually plotting to destroy the Jews. And we're going to see more about this later, but we're going to go into this overview. So in chapter 1, King Xerxes throws a huge party. All right, this guy liked to party. It lasted 180 days. And why was he partying? Because he needed a backing. He needed support for this huge war that he's about to throw. And what does he do? He gathers all of his nice things. Like I was saying, it's funny how the movie depicted that he loves his treasures. He's all jeweled up in his jewelry. He's got these piercings. He's nicely shaven. I believe he's wearing like some sort of eyeliner, which depicts that he's very, I don't want to say vain. I guess, okay, vain. And he likes those things, right? Everything beautiful. And so during this party, he has a queen of his own, and he is just plastered, right? He is drunk. I forget the term that, high in spirits in wine or something like that. I wish I had that in front of me. But if you go through it, you'll see it. And that's just telling us that he was very drunk at the time. So anyway, he has a queen. And during this party, he has all of his generals and all of the people that he wants support for this army. And he is just parading everything he has in front of them because he wants to impress them. And he thinks, wait a minute, I have a beautiful queen. And he tells his queen to come out and parade herself in nothing but her crown in front of his friends. And his queen does not do this. So Queen Vashti said no. And we can get into this whole political thing of what just happened there, because a lot just happened there. And it's, I make it sound like she just said no. And that's it. But a lot more has happened. Why did she say no? How could she have said no? And, women had a lot more power and influence in Persia back then than we might think while reading the Bible, because it's kind of the opposite. But anyway, yeah, so there's a lot more into that story, which is super cool, right? We can stories inside of stories. But anyway, so he is embarrassed. All of his generals who he's trying to impress is like, oh boy, you know what you should do? You should get rid of her. You should find a new queen. And that's what he does. He does this, I don't call it a game something like that, a version game where each night he has a new woman, and after that they go into his harem, never to be seen again. No, I'm kidding, but it's kind of kidding. It's something like that, right? The harem is committed to the king, and typically they'll only get one night with the king, so that's kind of ironic. And they spend the rest of their life in solitude with so it was, men were castrated at this time too, to serve the king. It's a very interesting time. So another reason to pick up the book. And so Esther is becoming the queen. She's jealous. They don't know that. And she has a cousin, Mordecai, who is also Jewish. And at this time, there is a plot. There's a plot to kill the king. And Mordecai discovers this plot. And he tells Esther, and Esther tells the king, and the conspiracy is stopped. And Mordecai is credited to saving the king, but he isn't rewarded. And that right there is also an extremely important detail, because in their country and their customs, it was very customary to reward people because they wanted to limit their chances of being assassinated. Kind of sounds funny, but actually assassination was a huge huge problem in these days. In fact, Xerxes that's how he died. He had been assassinated. Not now, but later in life, later in the book. Not this book, in history. So, yeah. So that's another important detail. He wasn't rewarded, but, remember that. Okay. Because now we meet Haman. And Haman, like we said, is a powerful political figure with the king, and he thinks he's somewhat of a king, and he gets promoted to a position of great authority, and everyone is expected to bow before him. And here's where it gets interesting, because Mordecai refuses to bow to him. And it's interesting because if you look back, their lineage, I believe Ahab, that's who Haman, I hope I'm not butchering this. Haman comes from Ahab, and Mordecai comes from Saul. And back in those days, there was this huge conflict. And this is one part that we see God's hand working. Actually, we've seen God's hand working a lot already. How about the fact that Haman becomes put in this position of power? How about the fact that King Ashti said no to King Xerxes? How about the fact that Esther is put in the position to create history at this point? And you'll see all of these wild coincidences may not be so coincidental. So Haman is angry that Mordecai will not bow to him. Like I said, these two, they don't know their past, I don't think. No, they don't. But historically, that is their lineage, and historically, that is their feud, like their beef, family beef coming to life in front of them. But it's like history. And so anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, he's like, I can't believe that he's not agreeing to me. And Haman becomes like this evil man. We know he's the villain already, but he comes with a plot to destroy all Jews. And he thinks so lightly about it, is he decides when all the Jews will die by a roll of the dice. And here's another time where God's hand comes in play. He rolled the dice. They called it a pur, or a lot. They cast their lot, and it's basically like a dice. And what happened was he rolled double sixes. So I believe, if I'm not wrong, that meant the 12th month of the year. So that right there, that one single row, that low chance, bought the Jewish people, they bought Mordecai and Esther the maximum allowed time to devise their plan, to everything to come together and make work. Because your first row, you roll a dice and you get double sixes. It's not too common. It's not too common. In fact, I teach a group of kids on Sundays at our church, and that was an activity that I did. I brought two dice, and I told them the story, and I gave them each the dice, and I said, all right, let's see how long it takes you to roll double sixes. And it is funny how long it took. I just wanted to demonstrate the chances of that. It's not so common, like, oh, that's easy, that's not too difficult. And it took a while, it took a long time. So that was just another time. All right, we're getting to the good part, and we're going to start in chapter 5. And this was when Esther approaches the king. And entering the presence of the king was not something so simple. All right, you needed to have a scepter. I think the saying was, you come with the scepter or you leave with the axe. And this is where Esther shows great courage. And because she approached the king at once, and I believe the scripture was, if I perish, I perish. And that was a great show of faith, which we don't see a lot in this book. So anyway, there is a time where her presence was accepted, and she invites King and Haman. All right, she's beautiful, right? She's beautiful, and King Xerxes has already taken to her. He likes her. She's gotten favor within the king, and so just remember that. I might have skipped that part. So anyway, that's where we are, and so she invites the king and Haman to a banquet, and at this banquet, the king asks Esther what she wants, and she says, the king tells her that you can have anything you want, up to half of the kingdom. And instead of her going, oh well, Haman here did this and this and that, and he thinks that this and this and that, and he's gonna do this and this and that, she's very strategic in her plan, in her words. So she, instead of immediately blurting out all of this stuff and seeming kind of erotic and kind of questionable, she invites them to another banquet. And even then, her words like, oh, if I have found favor in you, and if this pleases you, and she really chose her words perfectly to cater to his ego and his pride. He's like, yes, you have found favor with me. Yes, it will please me. Yes, good idea. And he loves to party. She knows that. We know that. He's like, let's do another party. And he's like, great idea. And so he accepts. And this is still, Mordecai does not bow to Haman. Haman is furious. And Haman has this plan. He told his followers, his family, his friends, he's like, hey, this guy Mordecai, he does not want to bow to me. And they said, oh, what you should do is you should build this 50-foot pole and hang him on it. Interesting fact, the Persians are the ones who created crucifixion. That's basically what is happening here. And so they say, yeah, you should build a 50-foot pole and hang him on it. And he's like, great idea. And that's what he does. He constructs that thing. He's got this plan. He's got this plan for the Jews. He's got this plan for Mordecai. And that night, the king can't sleep. And it's funny because this is another way that God is working behind the scenes. Because he can't sleep, and it's some God-induced insomnia, and he orders people to read him the royal chronicles. So basically, books about himself anyway. And he's some sort of, I don't know, what would you call it? Conscious or discovery is made. And he thinks back to when Mordecai saved his life. And he asked, what honor and dignity hath been done to Mordecai for saving my life? And the answer was nothing. So the king decides to honor Mordecai, right? Like I said before, that was their culture. It made them look like generous people. And like I said, in the movie 300, I think one of his favorite lines was, "I am a kind," when Xerxes, when he comes out, "I am a kind." It's like, because like assassination was huge, and kings had to look kind, nice, like good kings, like gods. Otherwise, you get assassinated. And so he's like, I am gonna honor this man. That is exactly what I will do. So he brings Haman in, and Haman comes into the presence of the king, and the king says, "Haman, what shall be done to a man who the king delights to honor?" And Haman is super happy, right? He's like, he just got this promotion, and he's thinking that the king is talking about himself. And he's like, "Oh, you should have a huge ceremony. Everybody should bow to him. You should parade him on the horses. You should do all of this stuff." And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's what I want to happen to me. That's what everybody should do. That's the kind of honor that I want." And the king says, "Great idea. I tell you what, go ahead and go do all of that stuff for this guy at the gate." His name is Mordecai. So he's like, wait, what? So now he has to do all of this stuff that he just said. He has to parade his enemy around and honor him while everybody sees this. And oh my goodness, it was ironic. Another way God is working behind the scenes. Now remember this, because it kind of comes into play later. And it doesn't end there. Now this is when Esther exposes the plot. And right, the king is saying, "Okay, now he keeps asking Esther, what do you want? Up to half the kingdom." And she says, "Well, I would like my life." And the king's like, "Oh, what? Wait, what? Assassination?" Right? It's a big problem. Who's trying to kill the queen? Who would do such a thing? And she says, "Well, my people have been planned to be destroyed." And Esther, and no, before we get to that, the king asks who would do that. And Esther points to Haman. And this is when Haman realizes that he's done. And so the king walks out of the room. And you might be thinking, why did he walk out the room? Why didn't he just execute him or arrest him right there? As well, because he had a big plan. He had a big hand to do with this whole thing. He's the one that put him in charge. He's the one that backed Haman. And it's like, oh man. And back then, you could not be wrong. Kings were not regular people. They were never wrong. They were looked at as gods. So Xerxes is like, oh gosh, what am I going to do now? Well, I got to do something. And God's hand works again. He leaves the room. Haman, I don't know if he's begging for his life, but he gets on the couch or whatever that might be with the queen, and he starts begging her. And this was forbidden. That is how you die right there. You approach the queen wrong and get too close. And so the king walks back in, and this gave him the grounds needed to carry out his plan of getting rid of Haman. And that's what happens. And so basically, he asks Esther what should happen, and she says to hang him on his own pole, that 50-foot pole that was meant for Mordecai. That's how he dies. Now, if you can start to see this pattern here, where all of his evil plans, all of his thoughts and plans, devices that he has planned for his enemies, he falls victims to. He is the one that basically fell victim to everything that he planned. Everything he planned. It's interesting enough that Mordecai also asked to put his entire family up there, and it gets granted. So all of them are crucified. And that's basically the Book of Esther. I know it's a lot, but it's super good, And it's interesting to see God's hands working and how we can apply it to our own lives. And in the end, there is more. Of course, there's always more. I only go to brief overviews, but just a real quick. The decree to kill all the Jews from Haman still exists. And this is when the king puts Mordecai in Haman's place. And Mordecai receives all of Haman's riches, all of his properties, everything. Because that was the rule, that was the law in their country and culture. And he's extremely influential. And that's who ordered the death of his family. And you might think that's wrong too. And there is a whole thing that goes into that about why he said that and the reason behind it and all that. It's really good. And so anyway, right, there's the decree still stands. The Jews are still set to be open market, right? Like anybody can kill them. They're supposed to attack them. And Mordecai has to do something, and the king has to do something because that was Esther's wish. She wants to live and protect her people. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I can't reverse an edict and a decree. And he's like, oh, what can I do? Oh, you know what? Mordecai can make a new decree. And Mordecai can make a decree that Jewish people can defend themselves from any attackers. And that's what he did. And this gave the Jews a lot of power because it showed that they were backed by the king, by royalty, basically untouchable. And nobody wanted to go against that. And also it gave them permission to do what they want, attack, defend themselves. And yeah, so that's the ending of that book. And like I said, that is a great book to answer questions like, what if God is working even when I can't see him? Or where is God when he seems silent? Or why am I where I am? Why are these people doing the things that they're doing to me? Because we learn in the story, people are used as vessels, even the evil ones, as tools to God's plan. Or how about the question of what do I do when doing the right thing is dangerous? And we can remember the faith that Esther had when approaching the king. If I perish, I perish. That's what she said. It's a powerful message, and I'm glad that we got to talk about it in this podcast. And I thank you for joining me, and I hope that you join me next week on our next episode.
Have a great day. Aloha.